last night I completed it. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a absolute stunner. Beautifully written, like stunning. I really enjoyed the book. So I thought it was gonna be weird having a main character that has my same name, but it wasn't weird at all. I actually found it not that odd. And it turns out her name isn't even Monique anyway. It's Elizabeth. She just goes by Monique because it's like her nickname. But you should read it. I plan on buying the rest of the books by this author and like putting it as like special, putting it away into my collection as special read times. So I'll probably get Malibu Rising and Daisy Six and the Jones, which I've heard a lot of stuff about Daisy Six and the Jones. A lot of people loved it. I'm not entirely sure what genre this is. I want to say it's like romantic contemporary, but I know it's a romance novel. I love the fact that it dived so deep into sexuality and sex, but it wasn't explicit at all, which I found to be a beautiful way to convey everything, which I really enjoyed. I can see why this is a New York Times bestseller. I do give this a 4.9, and the only reason I don't give it a 5 stars is because 5-star books are books that I want to reread over and over and over again, but I feel like I wouldn't want to relive the sad emotions that this book brought out in me. Typically this is like a 5-star book, yes, but for my rating scale, for how I use my ratings for, is like books I will reread, not reread, blah blah blah. So I would not reread this because the emotional roller coaster is not what I would want to experience again. I think I experienced it once and I'm happy for it. I loved it, I enjoyed it, but I'm off the ride and I think I'm gonna stay off. And I'll read like another novel. It's like, I feel like this is gonna be a one-time read. I wish I had a way to describe how I feel about this book. The thing is, it's not bad. I just don't want to reread it because I feel like I know everything. Like, the suspense is gone, the anguish is gone, like, the longing is gone, and it's satisfied. It's not like, oh, it's gone, it's like, oh, eh. No, it's like, I have been satisfied by this book. I know that my heart is content with this book. It had the most beautiful conclusion, period. Like, I couldn't have thought of a better way to end this book. It was just so beautifully done. Oh goodness, loved it. I do like the beginning half of the book better than the ending of the book, because once I got to a certain point in the book, a lot of my questions had been answered, and I felt like there was nothing suspending me anymore, but there was, and I just didn't know. Like, spoiler, the fact that her father was the one who was in love with Harry, and Harry was like, he was just so amazing, like, emotional roller coaster. But yeah, I love this book. I've never read any other Taylor Jenkins Reid novels, but I do plan on buying all of them just to keep them in my collection to read in the future. And maybe one day I'll change my mind about the reread, but I feel like since I already know what's gonna happen, it's like a who did it novel. Like, once you know like who did it, what happened, it's kind of like, okay, we know who did it. Like, I feel like I can't relive that again. I'd have to reread this for the first time again, and I feel like that's the only way I would want to read this novel, for the first time again. Would I want to reread it already knowing what I know going in? Not really, because I feel like I've eaten the cake. The cake is gone. I ate it. I've digested it. I've enjoyed it, but like, I don't want to regurgitate it up to eat it again, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. I have never read a book like this, so I'm in new waters. But read this book. Read this book. I went into it not knowing anything. My library had this, and I was like, I'm pretty sure online it says it doesn't have it. So I was like, I might as well just get it, since people are just selling out of this book, and libraries have holds on it for so freaking long. and I was like, I'm just gonna grab it. So I grabbed it. There's 2 on the shelf. I'm so happy I got this one. I read it in 2 days. 2 days. So I don't count when I read the first like 8 or 10 pages as me reading it, because sometimes I'll read the first 8 or 10 pages and then I'll put it down because it didn't hook me or I had like work to do. But once I'm into it, I'm into it. This is a fully immersive read. Fully immersive. Like an adventure in a novel. And it was so real. Like, the characters were extremely realistic. Evelyn is tortured. She knows who she is. She is relentless. But she also has this odd sense of loyalty and companionship that I feel like a lot of us could probably relate to in an odd way. And I don't know. She's just too real to me. It doesn't feel like a fictional novel. It feels like this is a novel about a real person with a real life who did real things. And I like that. It was beautiful. I'm excited to read other novels by her. I wish she wrote fantasy, but from what I've skimmed online, she does not. But if she ever becomes a fantasy writer, I'm dropping everything and I'm reading her book. I'm pre-ordering it. I'm buying it in bulk because it's gonna blow up. Literally take the world by storm. Not to say she hasn't already taken the world by storm, since it was hard to get my hands on this copy since I was looking for it and I didn't know that my library had it, but amazing writer. I highly suggest you check out her other books. I'm gonna check out her other books. And I think those I probably will buy, not because it's classified as a reread yet, because I don't classify anything as a reread until I've actually read it, but because I think the way she writes has so much complexity and detail that I need to take notes. And I was taking notes on this book. I used a little craft card and I took a bunch of notes on a card. Since this is a library book, I'm not going to write in a library book. But I really did wish I had this in physical copy, just so I could have like written notes and my thoughts and my theories going into the book, because I had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't have any theory onto like how Monique Grant knew, how Evelyn Hugo knew to like grab Monique Grant, because I was thinking, oh, maybe this is like a long lost child, maybe this is like her mom actually survived and then she had Monique, and like generations later, I don't know. I really did not have any useful theory. I had no idea what was going to make them hate each other. Nothing. And I honestly don't think they full out hate each other, honestly. I feel like there's like a mutual respect. And I don't know. Maybe Monique does hate her. I don't know if she does, but Monique as in the character, not as me. But I think she has a mutual respect for her and she understands what she did. She just doesn't like it and she doesn't condone it. But yeah. So, pretty much, this book is about Monique Grant. She is a writer at a magazine called Viviante, and Evelyn Hugo pretty much goes to Viviante and is like, hey, I want your girl, Monique Grant, to come over here and write this piece about me giving these dresses to charity. And everyone's shocked because Monique Grant is just a newbie journalist. She has not even made a name for herself yet. And Evelyn Hugo is like an icon. She's a household name. If you saw her on the street, you probably would know her. And everyone's like, why does Evelyn Hugo want Monique Grant to write her this article? And she doesn't want her to write it. She wants her to write her life biography, her memoirs. And Monique's just like, what? Me? Moi? And note, the memoirs is gonna give Monique Grant millions. Guaranteed. Because Evelyn is that big of a star. And pretty much this is Evelyn telling her life story through Monique Grant. And it has two-way narration, so Some of it is from the point of view of Evelyn, and the other bit is from the point of view of Monique, and it is so lovely written. It's super easy to tell between who's talking as narration, and there is a diverse cast of characters in this novel. Cuban American, biracial, African American. I think they truly thought well, which I know is always refreshing to see in novels. I really admire her way of doing imagery in this novel, because not once was I confused about what was happening in the book based off of imagery. Sometimes it's so poetic you can't imagine it, and then sometimes it's not poetic enough. You cannot put the words into detail. But this is perfectly poetic. Perfectly poetic. I say it's definitely a book you need to experience at least once in your lifetime. Just based on her writing style, I know there's going to be a guaranteed immersion into the rest of her books, and I'm excited for that, because I love a book to immerse me from the beginning. And this one truly did. It was truly interesting from the beginning, but I didn't have time to actually pick it up and read because I had class until 2 days after I read the first 10-15 pages. But it was amazing. I definitely believe that this will be a great book for Netflix to make into a Netflix original series, because this needs a movie. It is so good. I keep imagining in my mind who they're going to cast for Monique, who they're going to cast for Evelyn, and this would make a really good movie or a Netflix original. I just don't want them to make it. They have to be worthy of making it. They can't make it bad. They have to truly be worthy of making this book into a movie or a series or a TV show. It's just so good. So good. And that's my thoughts on The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Read it. Thank me later. Oh yeah, I went on Amazon and I saw that it had a bunch of bad reviews. I didn't personally agree with those bad reviews, but I typically read fantasy and romance, and mostly it's fantasy romance. This is just romance, contemporary, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. I think it is. And it might not be your cup of tea, but I think everyone should at least try to take a sip of it, because that first sip I took was very good. And I drank the whole cup. So, I hope you guys enjoyed our time together. I'll be back next Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Northwestern or 4 p.m. EST for our next bookish video. You guys, let me know, who was your favorite husband? Harry was mine, but I feel like Dawn Adler has a deeper story, and I really would like to see if she does a spin-off of his life. I heard through like the internet that one of her books that are already out is also about one of the other husbands. I don't know if that's true or not, because I was just reading like comments and forums, but if that is true, I would like to read that book as well. If you like book talks like this, be sure to subscribe and join me next time. Goodbye, my bookish babes.